If you want to know what freedom means, just do what you want whenever you want, and don't worry about any limits. I don't think this is how people learn to grow in this world. It comes from ancient teachings that say there is no progress or development without restriction. This means that sometimes you need someone to tell you what you should do. Even if you want to sleep until 10 or 11 a.m., you should wake up and follow your discipline structure. Then you should learn to do things that aren't based on your own comfort, because your comfort isn't helpful when it comes to growing. When it comes to children, Xing activities are still done in a fun way. Yeah, because you're using your body, it's fun, and you like to do the things you do, but at the same time, it's a healthy way to start to understand that this life isn't always going to be smooth sailing. You will face problems and have to go through them. For example, Shaolin practices are a good way to get used to the feeling of competition. If you fail at one competition, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you need to practice more. What's so interesting about this tradition isn't just the physicality of the practices. It's the question of how all this physicality affects your mind and character. Do you have patience, discipline, and willpower? This is the question because there are things we learn at school, number theory, physics, science, and chemistry. But everyone has something inside them. Some people have discipline while others don't. Some people are grateful while others aren't. Some people are naturally respectful while others aren't. The question is whether it's a coincidence that some people are respectful and others are disciplined, or whether these character traits need to be and can be developed in people. If you are disciplined, you'll have discipline no matter what you do, whether you're in school, at university, on your first job, or building your own business. That's the interesting part. All of these Shaolin practices are about finding your core as a person and developing it. Then, what you do with that core doesn't matter. Some people make a professional life in sports. Other people make a profession. By being an entrepreneur, other people stay employed. Other people build houses. It doesn't matter. The thing is along the way of creating something in this lifetime. There are some helpful human character traits or mindsets that I think need development. And the question is now how to develop them. From my observation and sensing into myself, the more you're used or getting used to something, the more habits you are starting to develop. So we humans are beings of habit. The question is, if 20 years long you lived a type of life for which there was not a lot of discipline involved, you can still develop it. Of course, in the 21st years and onwards. But before that, we have to somehow balance out these 20 years of your habit of being undisciplined. What it means is, the older you get, the more habits you already have, the more difficult it will become to change any of them. This is why starting as early as possible is the easiest way to program yourself and condition yourself in the right direction of what type of habits, what type of thinking patterns you would like to develop in yourself. But the other truth also, it depends on the openness of the mind eventually, everything on the openness of yourself. So if somebody is 50 years old but is still open to life means you realizes that you know nothing about this lifetime. You have 50 years of human life, but 50 years is 50 years. So it depends on how open are you staying throughout your journey in this lifetime. If you always take care of staying open, there is no limit in terms of how much and how much more are you able to develop yourself. The more limited, the more restricted, the more closed you are, the more you think you're perfect, the less you're going to change. As an example, Buddhism, Taoism, and Ism were all created in a different culture than Western culture. This means that the language, words, and images that are being transmitted are based on the culture in which they were created. In the West, people often want proof and believe that science is the only way to know the truth. If you believe in science, you might want to listen to what scientists have to say about what they have seen in the universe. They say that everything we see, including planets, stars, galaxies. Yes, that's correct. What does it mean? It means 99.9% as a human. How can you say you know anything? When a child is born, he doesn't know any words. When he looks at a tree, he knows that something is there. When does that something become a tree before he learns that it is a tree? The child still looks at the tree, whatever it is, knowing that it is a tree because someone told him that it was a tree. It is still there. It is not an illusion. It's real. Everything we learn in this life comes from somewhere. We learn to label everything. The curiosity of whatever it is just there, but giving everything a name is what limits things down the road, because we start to think in terms of good and bad. This is useful for communicating with other people, but in a different state of being or view of this life, sometimes it's not necessary to use words because words never describe what it is. For example, we call this one a table because that's what it is. As soon as we said, "This is not a table, it's a chair," we would have called it a chair. It's not a table or a chair. It's just something we call it. If I say, "Look at the glass," we know where to look because we named it glass. But why do you know where to look? Because this glass is something different from everything else around it right now. By using words, we are separating. Every word defines a form, and when something has a form, there is something inside the form and something outside the form. Let me show you what I mean. Take a look outside right now. What do we see? Is it day or night? If we look out the window right now and say it's day, it's only day from our point of view, because we're in Europe. But right now, from the point of view I'm talking about, it's both day and night. This part of the world is day, and the other part of the world is night at the same time. There is no order to when day becomes night and when night becomes day. Day and night coexist at the same time. Right now, we can sit here and say that we have life. We all hope that this life will last 70, 80, or even 100 years. And then death can come. Death and life are not a chronological order. I don't think so right now. No matter how healthy you are, you can have a heart attack right now. One of my fears is that I don't have one either. I don't have the promise. If you look at it this way, success and failure are always happening at the same time. Every successful person I know can show me all the failures that led to his success. So what does it mean to live in a world that you think is about life, light, moving upwards, success, beauty, higher, faster, and better? I think this kind of propaganda that tells people that life only goes in one way and that they can make choices is wrong. One day I feel the harsh reality will hit, and that reality is that this one and this one will lose or fail. Letting go, dying, getting sick is a part of every human being's lifetime. Now, just looking at the world, what is it that is propagated? Where is all the energy of the human being going? It only goes in this direction because it feels comfortable, security. And insecurity is nothing, uncertainty is nothing that you feel comfortable to deal with. But what I'm saying is that they belong together. There is no way out. And the earlier you start to realize this, the more real your view about this existence in your life becomes. And what it means is you start to appreciate way more what you have right now, instead of running around starting to chase some things over and over again, to afterwards realize you come alone. You go alone, very simple. We talk a lot about mindset. It's all about the mind. This is the essence of the Shaolin practices. Not to forget this is the essence. This is where all of the beautiful forms, the hardening, the fighting aspect of it. And at the end, all of it boils down to the point of how much have you understood about your life during this lifetime that you have available. That is the core.